If you started your seedlings indoors and now it's finally warm enough to plant outside, there's one very important step that you still have to take, and that is hardening off your seedlings. So what is hardening off your seedlings? Well, hardening off your seedlings is gradually acclimatizing your little baby seedlings to the outdoor elements. That's the sun, the wind, and the temperature fluctuations. It involves taking your seedlings out and bringing them back in, traditionally over the course of 7 to 10 days, gradually increasing the amount of hours they spend out time every day. Now, I know this can be a lot of work, and it's probably one of many gardeners' worst chores of the year. But do not skip this step, because if you do, all of your hard work up to this point could be for nothing. Once we actually transplant our seedlings into the ground, they're going to go through what's called transplant shock. And if they're trying to acclimatize to the outdoors while going through this transplant shock, it can really set them back. By hardening them off first, they can get through that cycle, and then they're healthy plants that can get past that transplant shock. Now, a quick search about this and you're going to find a million different ways that people do it. The traditional way, going over 7 to 10 days and gradually starting with 2 hours and increasing to 2 hours every day until you get to about 10 hours, and then you can let them outside all the time. Then there's the easy, fast, lazy way, which you can do over the course of 3 to 4 days, putting them out on a cloudy day for all day or in the shady area, and just trying to speed up that process by giving them a little less stress. Now, both these ways can work, but I'm not really a strict rule follower. How I like to learn is by learning the why we do things, throwing in a little bit of common sense, and then finding out what works best for you. Let's go over the 3 main reasons why we need to harden off our plants. The first being the sun. Your plants can get sunburned. The sun is 10 million times stronger than any grow light you're going to get. So your plants need to gradually be introduced to that really, really strong sun. If you look at the tomato plants you're growing indoors, they will have a really thin leaf. What we want to do is to get these new leaves to start to thicken up, because they're going to thicken up and that's going to help protect them from the sun. My 2 tricks for this are the first 2 or 3 days, keep them in a shady area, or a cloudy day works really, really good as well. And the second trick is once you are going to be introducing it to the sun, try to give it the early morning or the late morning sun. The afternoon sun, generally between 1 and 4, depending on your area, is the strongest, so avoid that time. Now, the second thing we need our plants to be hardened off to is the wind. Even if you had a fan blowing indoors, the wind outside blows from all different directions and it can be strong and light. So you want to gradually introduce your plants to the wind. Don't put them outside at the beginning on a very windy day. Just try to have a nice breeze blowing through them. Wind damage can be just as bad as sun damage. If there's too strong of a wind, this is what happens. Your plant will just get blown over, and while it can still grow, any sort of stress that your plant gets is just going to set you back a little bit in time. The last thing we need to harden our plants off to is the temperature fluctuations. If you're growing indoors or in a controlled environment, that temperature range is not going to be as much as it is outside. This is going to work differently for people in different areas. I've seen a lot of people in the south say how they like to leave them out overnight for that temperature fluctuation. But up here in Canada, where it's cold out, it gets really cold at night. So I would prefer to put them out in the morning and let it have a gradual heat up, and then in the evening let it have that gradual cool down, but get them inside before it gets too cold. And of course, if you have a really bad day, super hot, super windy, big huge storm, don't be afraid to skip a day. It's not going to set your plants back anything. And then just be sure to keep an eye on your plants for signs of stress. Your plants are the best teachers for you. Signs of stress would be sunburns, wind burns, leaf curl, drooping plants. Just keep an eye out for these signs, and if you're seeing them, just try to slow down your hardening off process. A good way to tell how your plants are doing is if you look at any new leaf growth, and especially with tomatoes, you'll see that they're a thicker, shinier, darker leaf. And those leaves are prepared to be outside. So once you start seeing those signs, then your plants are all ready to be planted in the garden. And if you're through your hardening off process and you're ready to plant your tomatoes, go ahead and check out this video all about how to plant your tomatoes in your garden. Don't forget to like and subscribe for lots more gardening content to come. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.